Hey, and welcome back to Coding Out Loud. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. This is going to be less Laravel coding, and instead, what I'd like to do is investigate this tool called Bref. And Bref is a tool that allows you to deploy applications that normally wouldn't be very serverless able to use AWS serverless components, so things like AWS Lambdas and that kind of thing. And so what I was thinking is I'd like to try using Bref with their Laravel plugin to see if we can get StubSquad out to a serverless system. Right now, it's currently running on a DigitalOcean droplet, pardon me, and obviously that's not super fault tolerant, and I don't like that. So this is going to be kind of a POC, kind of a playing around, but also, if it works, I'm very open to keeping it here. I really just want to hack on it and see if it works. One of the reasons why I'm considering it now is PlanetScale now has a free tier that it's always had a free tier, but they now support foreign key constraints, which they didn't before, which made it really difficult to use for any kind of application where you're using foreign keys and stuff. So now that they support that, I would like to see if we can get the bulk of this working. I'm not sure how far we're going to get. I haven't gone through this, or at least this version of it before. I did play around with Bref, I'm going to say 5 months ago. I think it was back in the summer. And it did take a bit of finadoodling to get working. I'm hoping with that experience that it won't take as much hacking around. But basically, the only prep work that I've done for today is I've set up an env that we're going to use for Bref, that's just configured for Bref style stuff. And we're basically just going to have to see how it goes. We'll have to update the cache driver from Redis to DynamoDB because the Redis option from AWS is quite expensive for our use. I think it works out to like $40 or $50 a month, which again, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you can spend 25 cents a month through DynamoDB through their on-demand caching, I mean that wins hands down every time. So I think we'll start digging into the Bref documentation. I've got it here. This is the serverless Laravel getting started, blah, blah, blah. And we're just going to go through this, see how far we can get, see if we can get a site running on AWS. If we can, great. I'll basically be taking it down at the end of the stream anyways. So if any keys get shown, I'm just going to get rid of them and recycle them again, but that's okay. But yeah, let's just start and see how far we get. And so for step one, we're just going to follow the setup guide. So set up an AWS account and install the necessary tools. We're going to assume that we've done that. In existing Laravel project, install Bref and the Laravel Bref package. So we'll do that. So we'll go here and we will run this. Okay, and that should be good to go in a second here. Oops. Okay, so let's create a serverless YAML. Okay, configuration file. All right. All right, so how it works. By default, configure Laravel to work on AWS Lambda. Yeah, that's what we expect. Okay, so we do not want to deploy dev caches that were generated on a machine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's clear them before we're deploying. Yes. Okay. Now, eventually, if we do get this working, for example, we will be moving the deployment stuff into our GitHub Actions. So right now, for while we're playing around with this, we're just going to deploy from my machine. But if this goes well, this will be included in our CI/CD pipeline kind of thing, so that I'm not just deploying from my machine. I want other developers on our team to be able to deploy stuff as well. We don't want this to be a one-shot deal. So Laravel application will automatically cache its configuration when booting. You don't need to run config cache. Perfect. So let's deploy now. Okay, so I don't believe this is going to work, or if it does, it's not going to work very well. Let's just see what happens here. Failed to deploy, is not authorized to perform. Okay, so now if I remember correctly, I had to specify an AWS config, and so I'm just going to hide my desktop here for a second because I don't want keys to be shown here. And so if I go dot AWS credentials, okay, maybe not. So I'm just going to copy these for the moment. Okay, I'll show my desktop again. Okay, and so let's go take a look. So let's go to console. And while this is obviously not secret, I'm going to hide the camera or the desktop again just for a second. I am. And let's just compare BCZ. Okay, so I'm going to show this again. And so I'm on the IAM page here. So let's figure out which permission it doesn't have. So because no permissions permit describe stacks. So let's go take a look at the server list.yaml. Okay, so functions. So it's PHP 8.1. Okay, timeout. So I believe, if I remember correctly, and we can take a look at this. CloudFormation. Okay, so it should have all CloudFormation access. So what is it saying it doesn't have access to? East 1, stack, Laravel. Permission boundary. Permissions boundary allows the. Okay, so let's go take a look. That's not. It's not a bug. It's just a permission thing. So change boundary. This could be a shorter stream than I was expecting, but that's okay. Let's go take a look. So it should have CloudFormation and Lambda already. Describe stack. Okay, I'm just going to hide my desktop for one more second here because I want to take a look at I want to look at my history and see how I was deploying it before. Oh, and it looks like it's no longer there, which sucks. So if I go back here. Okay, so there is a way to define a specific AWS credential that you want to use, and I just need to find where that is. Okay, so that part's done. So yeah, like yeah, the AWS credentials are there, but there's a way to define, to basically say like, because I have multiple credentials in this file for different applications, and so there's a way to define which one you want to use, and I do not remember. Okay, so is it here? Console guide, running command, serverless Bref. No. Okay, let's take a look. If we go serverless help, config. No, we don't want that. We want to actually use specific credential. Install, no. Well, that's not what we want. Yeah, there's a way to specify the credential that you want to use. Serverless, specify AWS profile. Here we go. Management account. No, that's not what we want to do. We just want the command line. Apologies for that. That's what we want, dash AWS profile. I think it's just called default here. Okay, now the other thing that I know I had this called StubSquad before, so I'm curious if that name has any makes any difference here. Okay, so is not authorized to perform describe stacks. Well, when in doubt, let's Google. Yeah, and that's the thing, is this permission already has access to CloudFormation full. So I'm not sure why. Yeah, so it is being used today. So that's it. So user blah 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 is not authorized to perform CloudFormation describe stacks on resource blah blah blah. Describe stacks action. Let's go CloudFormation. Yeah, so it's not even a default one, so this should be okay. Describe stack set, but it does not have describe stacks. Okay, so let's add that. Surprising that it's not in a full access one, but that's okay. Okay, so let us add permissions, create inline policy, cloud formation, read describe stacks. Is not even in here. Describe stacks, there we go. So we're gonna give all list, all read. For right now, we're gonna do all of the all things. So specify resource ARNs. Specify stack for the cancel. Any region. Actually, let's go US East 1 because that's what we're doing right now. We can always adjust this later. So US East 1, any stack, any ID. Yes. Okay. Stacks at target. So this count US East 1, any stacks at target. And again, US East 1, any resource type. This account. Okay, and so that should be good for that. Do we have an error? This exceeds the non-white space limit, character limit. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so let's go cloud formation. Let's uncheck all of these and just add describe stacks. Okay. Next. Okay, so we're going to say this is a cloud formation, describe stacks. Okay, so, yep. Okay, so let's try this now. Permission boundary allows the cloud formation describe stacks asset action. Okay, well that's interesting because I just did that. And so ARN, AWS cloud formation, US East 1, 34906, blah, 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 stack. So this should cover this. Can I do that? I don't think that's valid, but we'll try. Oh, it is. Okay, perfect. Still don't think this is going to solve the problem, but I want to get it specific to this, what we're working on here. Not authorized to perform describe stacks. Well, you're lying because so user/JT MacBook, that's me. Not authorized to perform describe stacks on resource blah blah blah. Yes, it is. I swear that's exact. It's got to be this. Like, I don't think I typoed anything here. 3496 of, yeah, so this should be legit. So why else would this not work? Local default profile, okay. There's no permission boundary. So the action is CloudFormation describe stacks. CloudFormation describe stacks. Shouldn't take too long to propagate. I don't believe I had this problem last time. Now I'm curious. CloudFormation full access. So yeah, so I mean, it should have access through here. Because this is allowing literally all CloudFormation steps on all resources. So I'm thinking we have something else going on here. Console access is disabled. That shouldn't matter. Security credentials, last used 10 minutes ago, so that's literally us. Groups, don't care about tags, doesn't matter. Access advisor. Yeah, and so it is showing last access today. I just don't understand why it doesn't have access now. Interesting. This is the fun of these streams. It's kind of a solve it at bit by bit here. So that should be fine. These are all fine. US East 1, I don't believe this CloudFormation is, yeah, no, it's not limited by any kind of region or anything like that. So it should have access to all of it. And then this as well, I'm pretty sure this is the one that I made specifically for that. And it has allow describe stacks on there for all resources. So let's go to CloudWatch and see if there's any. Pardon me. X-ray traces. No, that shouldn't be it. Live tail. I'm not sure if this will show login stuff, but we'll try. CloudTrail logs. Let's see if anything shows up here. I don't think it will, but we can try. Give it a second here. Just wait. Okay, what else can we look at in the meantime? Let's just search Bref, describe stacks. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna. that's not going to help us. Blah, blah, blah. These are all the provider stuff. I'm just curious if they have an example role that it can assume. Okay, that's the GitHub action. Okay, so here's the policy. And he's doing API gateway stuff, so we don't obviously need that stuff. Yeah. Don't care about Symfony stuff. Flow monitoring. Okay, we're not using any of this stuff. Environment is there. Okay, serverless. No. Anything show up on CloudWatch? No, I didn't think so. Okay. So Bref CLI, this is probably, oh, so I gave it everything for this. So let's, just gonna hide my screen for a second here. I just want to check something. So if I go cat AWS credentials, so it's not this one. Let's go like this, cancel. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out which account this thing is using. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new access key. This is going to be Bref v2. We're going to go like this, serverless config credentials. Provider AWS key is that. Secret is that. we go serverless. Okay, I guess I can show my desktop again here. Serverless deploy AWS profile Bref. Okay, so it's building the stack. So that's a good sign. Let's see how this goes. What I'm curious about is, I think, yeah. Okay, it's uploading. That's a good sign. Okay, updating the stack. Hopefully this won't take too much longer here. If I didn't think I was going to get a copyright strike, I would play the Jeopardy theme here, but this is looking good. Curious how long this is, if this is just like the initial. So if we go to Lambda here. Okay, so it's built these. Okay, so it's kind of working. Let's see what happens. Internal server. Okay, that's not a big surprise, but that's okay. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I'm going to hide my desktop for a second here because I believe my key was shown. So let's go back to IAM for a second. I'm just going to rotate that, which is fine. Let's delete it. Okay, and let's create a new access key. Bref v3. Sorry, this won't take too long. Just going to copy one more thing here and then we'll be okay. All right, done, continue. Okay, so desktop. Okay, so we've got a key working. We have a deployment working. Now let's actually deploy our app. And so we will follow the getting started. So we've done this. We've got to the serverless deploy. And so the next thing we need to worry about is stuff like the file storage and the queues and all that stuff. And so, okay, so Artisan is fine. We don't need to really worry about that at the moment. File storage. So we've already got a, hey, Fizzify. This is a, sorry, the question was what microphone to use. This is a PreSonus Revelator Dynamic. It's, oh, I guess you can't really see it that well. It's, it looks kind of similar to the SM7B, but it's USB powered. So it's, and I generally like the sound of it better than the SM7. So yeah, and it's got like a built-in DSP and stuff. It's a really great microphone. Definitely recommend it if you're in the market. And no, I'm not sponsored. I really like it. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to set the S3 stuff so that the app can upload images correctly. So let's go to our serverless.yaml and let's start plugging away here. So for environment variables, we're going to have to add the S3 stuff. Okay, so let's go like this. So it's going to be referred to as storage, okay. And then in the IAM, I'm going to have to give this. So for right now, giving it all S3 is fine, okay. Storage bucket, okay. And resources, that's it, blah, 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 okay. Okay, so now because we already have the storage bucket, it already exists, we don't need to create it, so we're just going to leave that off this part here. Okay, and so Laravel has a special disk called public. Yeah, we're not doing any of that. Oh, actually, yes, we are. So so this stores files that we want to make public, like uploaded photos, generated PDF files. Yeah, actually, we're not doing that. So we never use the disk public. Okay, so that's fine. So that's cool. Configure the public disk to use S3. Okay, so we're not doing that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so queues. We definitely need queues. So let's add the environment variables for this. And so where we use queues for is when, for example, a new season, like a new sporting season is announced. We go fetch the schedule from that API or from an API, and then put all of the data about the new season onto a queue, and then the queue worker just processes it. So think like it has to generate all the schedules for all the teams. It has to fetch information about the teams, like its logos and stuff. So all of that is done through messaging jobs. So we will need these for sure. So let's see, where are we here? We need constructs. Okay, so the whole thing is a new construct because we don't have that, right? No. Okay, so queue, Bref, yeah, that's fine. Timeout 60 seconds. That should be fine, I believe. Although we're going to need to install this lift plugin. Okay. Okay. We define a Laravel environment variables and provider.environment. SQS. Right, and SQSQ. Okay, so what that's saying is in our env.bref file, we will need to go to the queue connection and just remove this. We will let it set it through this environment variable here. And if you want to create the SQS, yeah, we don't care about that. We're going to let it do it automatically. Okay, so we sent to SQS. Okay, SQS will invoke our worker function, so that is process. Perfect. Caching. So this is the next fun thing that we're going to have to use DynamoDB for. And so I believe we can just change this to DynamoDB because there should be a entry in our cache PHP for that already. Stores, yeah, DynamoDB. So this should be fine already. Follow this section of the documentation to deploy. Okay, so deploying DynamoDB tables. Okay, so this is the fun stuff here. So we want to go to the resources. We have no no resources right now. Okay. This is going to be our first resource. Attribute definitions, yeah. Attribute ID is ID. Attribute type S, yeah, it's going to be a string. Yeah, this all looks good. And we now need to allow code and Lambda functions to access DynamoDB. We can pass in the table names. Yep. Okay, so for the IAM, we're going to role statements, and we're just going to add the effect allow. So we can just copy this. Okay, and so what this should do is it should allow our app to talk to DynamoDB for the caching of the system, and we will just add an environment variable to allow that. Where are our environment variables? Right here. Okay. All right, and so what else do we got here? Logs, that should be fine. They should just go to CloudWatch, and we're also using Sentry, so that's fine. And so for right now, we're not going to worry about databases because we're going to set up PlanetScale for the database side of things. But let's just see if we have messed anything else up here with our serverless. With the queues at least, because it should at least throw back an error if our serverless YAML is wrong at least. Okay, so it's a big boy. It's 36 megs. Hopefully this won't take as long as last time. Last time it took like a full 2 minutes to deploy, so hopefully it won't take that long. And CloudFormation template is invalid. Okay, so unresolved resource dependency storage in the resources block of the template. So, okay, so that's going to go back to this, which AWS bucket. So I think we can actually then get rid of this because we already have the AWS bucket defined in our env.bref. If we look, where is it? Should be around here somewhere. Yeah, AWS bucket. So we're already defining that, so we don't need to define it again in the serverless.yaml. Let's try this again. Hopefully it'll go through this time. Instance of fn sub references invalid resource attribute storage.arn. Okay, so next let's take a look at that. So okay, so we need to say how do we want to do this? I wonder if we can just do star for now. I don't think we can, but for right now, I'm okay with this thing accessing everything. And then we can test later if it doesn't. And then we'll kind of scope it down to just the storage buckets that it needs access to. But for right now, I'm okay with it just being kind of wide open. Pardon me. Well, it's getting further, it feels like, than last time, so that's a good sign. Let's go take a look at our console. Yeah, it's still going. So at least we haven't completely broken things, which is kind of goal number one here. We can always, tweak things and get things to exactly where they need to be. My goal with this stream is to at least have a functioning version of StubSquad, even if it's completely useless and doesn't have any of the data or anything. I just want to know, can this functionally work? Or I guess I know that it can. I just want to see that it works before I kind of make any decisions on what I want to do as far as long-term planning with the site goes. DigitalOcean is great. It's super cheap, but I mean, everyone knows, like it's a single point of failure, really. And so we want to see if we can get this to work in a more resilient fashion. Okay, so why is that not letting me close? Okay, I don't know why that closed, but that's okay. Make that a bit bigger. Okay, so it technically worked, but we're still getting an internal server error. Again, that's okay. There are myriad reasons why that could be, and I'm okay with that. We'll kind of keep digging here. So let's see. If we go to, what do I want to do here? We want to, statements work now. DynamoDB is there. So let's actually try and do an artisan command and see if Bref CLI args artisan command. Okay, so let's just try this here. Let's say, I guess we don't have a database yet. So let's go to PlanetScale. Sign in. GitHub. Okay, so let's just delete this database. That's fine. This is just some stuff I was playing with for like a while ago. So if we go create a new database, and we're going to call this StubSquad US East 1, and this is just going to be a hobby for now because we don't need to pay for it yet. Okay, I'm going to hide my desktop for a second here. Okay. Okay, and we'll go back to the desktop here. Let's create the database using Laravel. And we're going to call this Bref. What is this? January 1st, 2024. Again, going to reset all these once we're done here. So let's go to env.bref. And user. Even better. Okay, env.bref. And I'm going to hide okay, so I'm going to hide actually, yeah, I'm going to hide my desktop for 1 second while we update the env file. And we're going to do, just get rid of this. Okay. And actually, you know what? I'm going to hide the desktop again. I'm going to reset that password right now, just so I don't forget. Go to my database overview and settings, passwords, new password, Bref v2, Jan 1, 2024, roll. Okay, and we can delete that old one. Okay, so if I'll bring you guys back, and if I deploy, serverless deploy. So we're going to try and deploy it, and then we're going to attempt to do a database migration just to see. Profile Bref. Serverless deploy. AWS profile. AWS profile Bref. Hopefully this won't take too long. And then, yeah, we'll try and do run the artisan command and see if we can migrate the database just to see if it'll build the tables and stuff. Have no idea if this is going to work. I hope it will. Oh, this is like the worst part of this process, is the waiting for it to update the stack. Like, I wouldn't expect it to take this long. I don't understand what about it is actually getting deployed here that takes such a long period of time. Okay, well, let's try and run our artisan migrate. AWS profile Bref. That is not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. Invoked function failed. Okay, so that might be why it's failing. That's interesting. Okay, so serverless YAML. So this must be using PHP 8.1 FPM. I'm curious if there is an 8.2 FPM. Let's serverless deploy. I'm really hoping that such a runtime exists. Okay, it looks like it must, so that's a good sign. Now I'm curious, just while it's building here, is there like a serverless folder? Okay, so it creates the StubSquad zip, serverless state, CloudFormation template, create stack, update stack. Okay, that's fine. That's a big, interesting, cool. Okay, so we will hide that for now. Let's go back to the console and let's see if we get a success here that we can run Artisan migrate. Retrieving, okay, updating. Okay, it succeeded there. Let's try and run our migrate. Command exited was 0. Oh. Okay, so what do we got? Nothing. Creating storage directories, running PHP, blah, blah, blah. Application, because we have to run migrate force because this is running in production. It thinks that we don't actually want to do that. Okay, so connection refused. Okay, so that's a new error message. That's okay. So let's take a look. Why did it fail? Select table name as name. Where table schema is StubSquad base table. Okay. Let's go take a look at our PlanetScale and let's see if there's any kind of logs here that we can see to find out why it's not letting us do that. Console, no, that's not what we want. Boost, no. Let's see. Is there anything that would be preventing us from doing a migration? Deploy requests, no. Overview. Branches, row reads, okay. Open web console, no, that's definitely not what we want. Okay, so let's just double check. So database name, yeah, StubSquad, username, that they gave us. The host is this. Database connection is MySQL. We should have gotten rid of all of the other DB stuff. Yes, there's nothing remaining from the old one. So let's try this. Actually, no. How do we want to do this? We want to... Okay, so safe migrations are off, which is fine. Right, okay, so safe migrations are off. That's good. I'm curious why this wouldn't be able to reach out. So let's take a look at environment, databases, PlanetScale. Okay, so yeah, created, blah, blah, blah. Laravel, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Set up the following. Okay, so... okay, so cert PEM needs to be different. Okay. That may be where we're having an issue. So let's redeploy with that correct setting. And then we will, yeah, migrate force, which is what I thought. Okay, and this, we can actually, if their docs are public, let's go update that because they do support that, I believe. So let's go PlanetScale, foreign key. And so foreign key constraints, currently supported in beta. Ooh. how do we opt in? Okay, so select the settings tab. Okay. In the beta features page, select the enroll. Beta features, enroll. Yep, cool. Okay, so it's been deployed. So let's try and run our migrate force again. Let's see how it goes this time. It didn't. Okay. Connection refused still. Now I'm curious, does it say where it's trying to connect to? Obviously, we'd assume it's trying to connect to the database, the PlanetScale database, but it's possible it's trying to connect somewhere else. And I'm curious if it's actually trying to connect to like local host or something, like if it's seeing the wrong database host. Is there any? Okay, so it's not duplicated anywhere. DB database is not duplicated anywhere. DB username is not duplicated anywhere. Okay, so let's go back here. So serverless deploy, we've done that. We're trying to do the Bref CLI migrate force. Configure Laravel to use a PlanetScale database. You need to set up using environment variables. Yeah, we've done all of that. Is there anything else we need to inherit from just like the normal database stuff that we shouldn't? Database. Okay, so if your Lambda function has timeouts, to restore internet access for a Lambda, you need to create a NAT Gateway in the VPC. Those NAT Gateways start at $27 per month. Yeah, that sucks. Well, I think for now, that's going to kind of rule us out, because for right now, I don't feel like spending $27 a month just to give my stuff access to the internet. Finally, another free alternative is to access it by creating private VPC endpoints. The problem is these Lambdas will also need access to the internet to access things like the APIs to get scheduled data from all the different leagues and stuff. So that kind of ends this in its tracks. I did not realize that that was necessary. Endpoint policy. Yeah. Private VPC endpoint. Let's just take a look. Private VPC endpoint. Yeah. That's only for internal stuff. Well, that sucks. I was really hoping this was going to work, but can't make it do things that it's not wanting to do for free, because at the end of the day, right now I'm paying, I think, just over $5 or $6 for the droplet on DigitalOcean. So I'm not going to spend $27 or whatever to do what I'm paying $5 for right now. So I think we're just going to end the stream right now. It was a nice kind of investigation. It sucks that it didn't work out. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to overpay for something that's not making any money right now. That's kind of at the end of the day. I'm not charging for StubSquad. We're not making any money from it. There's no ads or anything like that. So I'm not going to pay that much money per month right now, at least till it takes off. Yeah, this is kind of, I think, a good dive into, sometimes you're going to come up with great ideas and they're not going to pan out, right? Like it's one thing to have an idea. It's still good to investigate and to dive deep into them to find out if it's possible. But sometimes, those ideas you have, they're just not going to work out, and that's okay. I think a lot of people get into this mindset where, if they commit to investigating something, like I've committed to this and I have to see it out. It's like, no, that's the sunk cost fallacy, right? Like just because you spent a couple hours investigating what this might look like doesn't mean you have to go through with it. It's you didn't waste any time. You learned about a bunch of different things along the way. So it wasn't a waste of time. It just didn't work out. And so that's okay. And so I'm okay to call this, a completed investigation, and the investigation just didn't work out. So I think I'm going to call it here. It's about 7:00 p.m. my time, local. So I'm going to go get some dinner, I think, because I'm getting pretty hungry. I haven't had lunch either. So I can feel my stomach growling. So for the few of you that joined live, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys will join me on next Sunday night. I'm going to continue doing more streams every week like I have. I apologize that I didn't do one last night for New Year's Eve, but I figured no one was going to be around. And so I figured I'd do one today instead. And thanks for watching Coding Out Loud, and I will see you on Sunday. Later.